Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health. Are you ready for tonight's webinar, worldwide health webinar on vaccinations? This is such an important subject and such an in-depth subject that it is the only webinar in 4 years of producing webinars that I find the necessity of breaking it up into 2 parts. So, vaccination, part 1, tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time for insiders and their guests exclusively. Knowledge is power, and when it comes to vaccines, when it comes to most information levied upon your brains, levied upon your psyche by the pharmaceutical industry and conventional medical experts, knowledge is, in fact, not only powerful but necessary. We need to have an understanding before we get sick about what we should do when we get sick, because if we don't have that a priori understanding, we're just going to act out of fear. We're going to go the wrong way. We're going to go the only way that we know, which is the conventional medical route. And the only reason that that's the only way we know it is because the MDs have exerted a monopoly over the practice of medicine here all around the world for the last 100 years. So you need to know what your options are. You need to know what they're good for, the MDs. You need to know what they're bad for. You need to know what the naturopaths and the homeopaths and the Ayurvedic practitioners and the chiropractors and everybody else, what we're good for and what we're bad for. And so when you have this knowledge base, it approximates a free medical market. We don't have a free medical market. All that you know is MD-directed medicine all of the time. And so by increasing your knowledge base, right, by bringing yourself kind of up to speed, so to speak, about the different types of medicine that are available to you through licensed and regulated certified physicians, not MDs, physicians of different ilks, well, then you have a much better knowledge base from which to take action in your life. Action to support and promote your body's ability to optimize its structure and function, or action to suppress, control, regulate, and, quite frankly, poison your body, which is what the MDs advocate. Now, remember, right, this is pragmatic, science-based, clinically verified stuff. This isn't some, holdover from the 60s, Birkenstock wearing, herbal, holistic nonsense brought to you by your great-great-grandmother's, witch doctor. This is pragmatic science. This is the marriage between science and the holistic method. And thank God for penicillin. Thank God for Novocaine. Thank God for the sterile technique. It's not the drug, it's how it's used. It's not the gun, it's how it's used. I've never known a gun to get up off of the shelf and shoot somebody of its own volition. For goodness sake. If it weren't for guns here in the United States, we'd still be subjects of the King and the Queen of England. Right? I mean, if it weren't for guns, quite frankly, probably the Native Americans would still own, or have sway over at least half of the United States. So this goes both ways. It's not the drug, it's how it's used. Drugs are great when they're used appropriately, but the way that the MDs are trained to view the pathophysiology of disease and the way that the body interacts with disease and how the body can recover its health, the way that they are trained is old-fashioned, outdated, monotheistic, Machiavellian, and mediocre. And when the MD uses a drug, the results are horrifying. The leading cause of death, MD-directed medical therapeutics. 780,000 people a year are killed. 780,000 people a year are killed because they went to an MD. The leading cause of death, second leading cause of death, heart disease. Third leading cause of death, cancer. MDs kill more people than cancer. MDs kill more people than heart disease. So why do they do that? Are they sadistic, malicious, evil-minded people? No. They are intellectually boxed in. They have been trained to think a particular way, and the way that they have been trained to think is incorrect. It's an incorrect way. It's as if we have, grown a generation of geologists, or of travel agents, a generation of travel agents, all who think that the Earth is flat. I mean, we're going to have a pretty screwed up transportation system, right? You think that the Earth is flat? I mean, if you really think that, everything that you build on top of that is going to be flawed. There's an inherent built-in flaw that the MD is unaware of. And this is why, while we've been under their tutelage, we're going to hell in a handbasket. Autism accelerating, unbelievable. Well, something like 1 out of 80, 1 out of 89 births now. It used to be 1 out of 10,000. I'm in my mid-50s. I didn't know anybody who had Alzheimer's when I was a kid. Now it's the 6th leading cause of death. Arthritis is skyrocketing. High blood pressure is skyrocketing. Type 2 diabetes is skyrocketing. Obesity is skyrocketing. Our health is our longevity is getting less and less under the tutelage of the MD. And leading cause of bankruptcy, MD-directed medicine. Why is this? Because what's the most expensive type of medicine? The one that doesn't work, says Captain Kirk. Somebody told me I'm starting to talk like Captain Kirk more frequently now. I think they're right. Well, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. What can I say? And I am a gigantic science fiction fan. Gigantic, as you may have ascertained from the TARDIS in my shelf. We need to maintain some sense of levity here. We need to maintain some sense of humor in order to offset all of the doom and gloom and death and destruction that's levied upon your brothers and sisters, your children, your family members, your church members, your community members every day by an unsuspecting medical elite who are completely ensconced in their way of doing things. And even when their way fails, they don't take responsibility for it. They don't. The hubris of an MD is legendary. The hubris of the MD, the inability for them to have any type of introspection, the inability for them to take responsibility for their failures is legendary. And the only reason that they get away with such remarkably, unbelievably bad behavior is because nobody calls them on it. And why doesn't anybody call them on it? Because they own the monopoly. It's good to be the king. Well, they are the kings of medicine. And they have their place, but their place is getting, lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser. And if by some genie in the bottle magic, we all woke up tomorrow, and there was equal access to naturopathic medicine, just as many naturopathic physicians in the world as MDs, just as many homeopaths in the world as MDs, just as many chiropractors in the world as MDs, just as many Ayurvedic practitioners, traditional Chinese medical practitioners, acupuncturists, herbalists in the world as there are MDs. And if we all had equal sway over the medical market, that everybody in the world could decide whom to go to for treatment, and all of the treatments would be covered by their medical insurance. And if all of these other medical professions got equal amounts of research money as the MDs did, to come up with cures for cancer or whatever, within 5 years, probably less, most MD general practitioners would be out of a job, and they know it. Pharmaceutical companies would lose the lion's share of the market, and they know it. That's why they don't want there to be testimonials in the United States for, what you can do to your body with, medicine. You can't do it. Well, I mean, you can do it. We have freedom of speech here. We have freedom of speech, but if you put up if you're a longevity member, or you're a member of Herbalife, or you're a member of some other vitamin company, right, and you profit by the sale of vitamins, right? You profit by the sale of vitamins, which is a fantastic thing as far as I'm concerned. If you had type 2 diabetes for 10 years and you overcame it in 3 months with whatever nutritional supplement program you were on, if you advertised that on your website and said, hey, look, here's my before and after blood work. Here's the testimony of my physician, my licensed physician, that says in a legal document that before I started this particular herbal treatment, this particular nutritional supplement treatment, I had type 2 diabetes, and after the treatment I no longer had type 2 diabetes, and here's what I used to do it, you'd be thrown in jail. Now, that's not right, and that's not just, and that's not fair. And that's why I'm putting together a website for testimonials, which is going to be 100% legal. And we are going to give people in the world a forum, an active forum, a stage on which to tell the world their story. You stay tuned for that one. We are rolling this one out at the beginning of 2015. My New Year's present, my Christmas present, my New Year's present to the world. Legally, a legal website for testimonials, which we will use to leverage the hearts and minds of the sick and the suffering all around the world. Because as you heard by the testimonials that were on this program yesterday, as you've heard from the testimonials that other people have given on this radio program over the last few years, as you've experienced yourself, the wonders of medical nutrition are just that. They're wonderful. It's not a cure-all. It's not some panacea for all human ills. But it is a remarkably effective medical therapeutic that most people have completely, absolutely, utterly, 100% no idea even exists. This is why this company that I am such a cheerleader for, Longevity, is so vitally important. Because longevity exists to generate a grassroots coalition of the informed, to grow a grassroots coalition of the informed, of people all around the world who have been up against a health condition. They followed Dr. Wallach's recommendations. They got on board with a medical nutrition program, the intention of which was to help their body fix itself. Their body fixed itself. Then they tell the world. And that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Stay tuned. Going to the phones when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health. Check out the live stream, the Dr. Glidden Show.tv, where you can enter for free, no charge. Free's good. You like free? A worldwide live chat in which there are currently 95 people. Is 95 a good number? 95 is a great number. What's a better number? 95,000. So do your best to fire the phasers on all banks. Do your best to spread the word about this radio program. If you're a longevity member, it's kind of a no-brainer, because if you leverage the expert, that's me and Dr. Wallach and Ben Fuchs and every other, luminary in Longevity Nation, you will be able to generate lots and lots and lots and lots of interest. Because, this is just the way that the human brain is architected. Here's a new word for you, architected in the internets. If you show up at your neighbor's house and say, hey, Harry, guess what? I recovered from my type 2 diabetes with medical nutrition, and I can help you do the same. Harry's going to look at you like you have two heads. But if you knock on Harry's door and say, Harry, I know a doctor that says you don't have to suffer with that, tune into his radio show, it's free. Harry's probably going to do that. Hey, Harry, I know a doctor that says you don't have to suffer that says there's a different way, and most people don't know about it. Here, if I lend you this DVD, where'd my DVDs go? If I lend you this DVD, will you listen to it? If I lend you this CD, will you listen to it? If I send you a link to this webinar, will you watch it? You can watch it in your pajamas, in your underwear, in the middle of the night. I don't care, Harry. Just watch it. This is a much better way to show people what we're up to introduce people, to open the door to the undiscovered country of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. And this is the secret to building a longevity business, saving the world. It's the secret. You tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Do not obfuscate. Do not blow things up. Do not enlarge. Don't make false promises. Just tell the truth. End point. I know a doctor that says you don't have to suffer with that. Here's when Dr. Wallach's on the radio. Here's when Dr. Glidden's on the radio. Here's one of Dr. Wallach's CDs. Here's one of Dr. Glidden's DVDs. Here's a link to one of Dr. Glidden's archived health webinars. Here's a link to one of Dr. Glidden's live worldwide health webinars. It's free. And this is how we're going to change the world, because as I spoke about yesterday, when you tell the truth, it resonates with people. And I think this is the biggest mistake that often people make in this business is they try to, they talk too much and they try to make things seem bigger than they are, and you don't need to do that because all you need to do is just speak the truth. And when you speak the truth, it resonates in the part of people who are also honest. Right? We all share a commonality, our human experience. I mean, we're basically honest people. You know how I know that? Walk into any city, any town in the United States and go up to one of those newspaper things where, you put in the 50 cents and get the newspaper. Put in 75 cents or $1.50 on Sunday and get the newspaper. There's always newspapers in it. I mean, if we were in an untrustworthy society, what people would do is they'd put their 50 cents in and take all the newspapers and go around the corner and sell them. That doesn't happen because we're basically honest, trustworthy human beings. And when you speak truth to another human being, it resonates with them. When you speak the truth of your own experience with longevity, son of a gun, you're not going to believe what happened to me, man. You're not going to believe what happened to me. And here, listen to this DVD. I'm going to tell you my story, and then I want you to listen to this. I want you to call this radio show. I want you to take action. I want you to see that I'm not blowing smoke. Go to the professional. Well, people are going to respond to that. People are going to be motivated into action when you approach them like that. There is a way to show people what we're up to that will make them run away from you, as God is my witness. And you will be a member of the NFL club. No friends left before you know it. We all know what those people are like. The people that you don't want to talk to at the dinner party. The people that you don't want to talk to at the Thanksgiving dinner because they're just going to pitch you whatever it is they're going to pitch you. And it's like, shut the crap up. That's the wrong way. There's a correct way. And it's easy, breezy, lemon squeezy. Become an insider at drglidden.com. Everything I just spoke about and more is there available right now for you in the business training section. Check it out. Knowledge is power. Let's all change the world together. Susan from Wisconsin is up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition of the Dr. Glidden Show. Homing in on the last days of October. My, oh my, where does the time go? Maybe Susan from Wisconsin can help us figure that one out. Hey, Susan, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. It's my pleasure to speak with you.
Well, thanks so much, Susan. That's a very kind thing to say. How can I help? Thanks for calling.
Okay. Well, I have a 7-year-old autistic grandson, and I called in to help with the supplements. Actually to help us get him to eat better. And he doesn't talk. He's nonverbal. He doesn't communicate with almost anybody except his mom and his dad and his sister. Well, we've got him on the products, and in 2.5 weeks already, he's seeking touch. He seeks me out when I come in the door. He's starting to make noises, and he is now attempting to create language. We're totally blown away.
2.5 weeks?
In 2.5 weeks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. His eye contact is, oh my gosh, you can't believe it, because he always used to turn away from us.
Yeah, so there's a big sea change in the child's behavior in just 2.5 weeks. How old is he?
He's going to be 7.
Yeah, well, boy, that's a remarkable thing to report in 2.5 weeks. I have to tell you that the best is yet to come, because the way that medical nutrition works is it builds on itself like a snowball rolling down a hill, right? And if you've seen this much improvement in 2.5 weeks, I don't want to give anybody false hope, but logic would dictate, right? Logic would dictate that 2.5 years from now, it's going to be a completely different enchilada. That's just remarkable. Was it easy or difficult to enroll the parents into doing this in the first place?
Well, Well, it was me. I was always looking. I was always looking for something better for him and for my other children. They get mad at me, but hey, if it helps, it helps, Like now, in a month, he's been on the products now, and his teachers at school, they're kind of getting frustrated with him because he isn't behaving as expected, because now he's actually getting aware of his peers around him, and he's just totally different. He's got awareness, for connection with them. And you know about autistic children. They don't like social connections.
Yeah, so he's no longer the little zombie boy in the back of the class that the teacher didn't have to pay any attention to, right?
Oh, Dr. Glidden, he smiles now. And he also now he's taking better commands from us. He understands he's starting to understand what we're asking him to do.
So are his parents into this now, and they're really behind it, or how do they feel about this whole thing?
My daughter, yes. I asked her today. I said, "How do you feel about it?" And I said, "Are you happy about getting on the products?" And she said, "Yes, Mom." And it's actually fun to see her husband, because he was always skeptical about all kinds of things about Colin, because we've tried a lot of things.
I bet.
And she talked to him yesterday, and she says he's amazed at what he's accomplished in this last month.
Well, this is just really, really, really great. How did you find us in the first place?
It was odd. I'm one of those that just searches the internet. Don't ask me how I find it. I found Dr. Wallach in Chicago. I asked her, would you ever go to Dr. Wallach's office? And she said no. And I said, okay. Well, then I found your YouTube, some of your YouTubes.
Yeah, we love the YouTubes.
Oh, gosh. And I told her, I said, I think I found some different products that Colin could take, and she was game for it. We're almost game for anything. Yeah. Well,
that's minds are like parachutes. They work best when open, right? I mean, that's really a testimony towards the way that you were brought up in your life to be able to consider this. And the sad fact of the matter is that most people in the United States, I always say that, and I have to get out of the habit of it because we have a worldwide audience now. Most people in industrialized nations in the world don't. They don't have open minds, and they don't even know that they don't have an open mind. It's kind of like a herd mentality. Mm-hmm. And everybody looks around and they see that the only medicine that's practiced legally in their state and the only people working in the big shiny multi-gazillion-dollar hospital on the hill have MD after their name. And so people are inclined to believe that if they weren't told it by the MD, it's just not valid. And that's how the whole term alternative medicine came into being. I don't practice alternative medicine. I practice naturopathic medicine. Calling what I do alternative is like saying, well, that golden retriever, he's an alternative dog. The only real dog is a German Shepherd. Well, that's nonsense. But this is the way that people have become enculturated to understand this. And this is why Longevity Nation worldwide is such an important entity, because by virtue of a grassroots coalition of people who just tell the truth about their own experience with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition developed and delivered by licensed, regulated physicians trained in medical nutrition, just telling the truth about it, this is going to catch on before long like wildfire, because there are millions of kids all around the world who would benefit remarkably from medical nutrition, but their parents don't know anything about it. They can't even pronounce naturopathy. They don't even know what a vitamin is, for goodness sake. Can't even name 7 minerals, And so this is where you're going to come in, and this is where your family's going to come in, and this is where people in your community are going to come in, because, once we go down the track here and more results start piling up here, then it's going to be all over in Wisconsin, because that word is going to spread like wildfire. So how much does the child weigh right now?
He's pretty big. He's almost 50 pounds.
Okay. So it's important that we dial in the appropriate dose in order to keep things moving forward, right? And at 50 pounds, the dose is 1 scoop of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine a day. 1 scoop of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine a day. I would give him 1, 2, 3, 4. I would give him 6 EFAs a day. I would. I'd give him 6 EFAs a day. I'd give him 3 selenium a day. 3 selenium a day. And I'd give him 1/2 ounce of the plant-derived minerals twice a day. 1/2 ounce of the plant-derived minerals twice a day, and 1/2 ounce of the liquid calcium twice a day. Plus, eliminate the 10 bad foods and get as much cholesterol into his body as you possibly can, because his central nervous system, right, is made out of cholesterol, and so he needs more cholesterol in his body. That's never a bad idea. Eggs, and then some more eggs, and top it off with some eggs, and then put some butter and some more eggs on top of those butter and eggs. That's what I would do.
Yeah, my daughter wants me to tell you, too, that he was such a picky eater and that he has a texture
issue,
yeah. And she told me, because it was hard to get the Beyond Tangy Tangerine in them.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was hard.
Yeah.
And she said now he's to the point where he looks for all his supplements. Isn't that's weird? You know,
well, yeah, it's telling, because children, it's like that old saying, right, that, nobody can tell a friend from an enemy better than a child or a dog, right, because they have instincts, right, and as their switches start to turn on from the presence of the nutritional supplements, their instincts are going to get stronger and better. Hey, you might want to try this as kind of an alternate, to give the child a little, what's the word? A present. That's not the right word that I'm looking for. A reward is the word that I'm looking for.
Okay.
You might want to mess around with mixing the Beyond Tangy Tangerine with fruit juice or water or whatever in a popsicle mold, and give him a Beyond Tangy Tangerine popsicle.
I told her about it already because I've heard one of your webinars.
All right, you're way ahead of me.
And, yeah, I'm terrible to get mad at me. She told me that he won't even, he does ice cream, but he won't, she said he won't touch a popsicle.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's okay. I mean, he's looking for it now, and he's craving it, and he's wanting to get it in the system, so that's a really remarkable thing.
Well, I got it written down here for him, but yeah, we are totally so happy with.
Well, Susan, right? I mean, you've made my day. I can tell you that much. I called out for testimonials yesterday, and it seems to be working because we're getting a lion's share of them. So,
okay.
But here's what I'd like you to do, please. Once a quarter, right? Every time the seasons change. Right now it's kind of like we're right into fall, right? So the first day of winter, the first day of spring, the first day of summer, more or less that week, right, when the seasons change, call me back and give me a report here on the radio.
Oh, I will.
Every 3 months. That's kind of 4 months. That's kind of or 3 months. That's kind of a good framework to track something like this. So if you can call me back every 3 months with a report, I certainly would look forward to it, and I'll move you right to the top of the list.
Oh, thank you.
Susan, keep up the good work. I'm very happy that you called. I'm very inspired by your call, and it's calls like this that give me motivation to maintain the discipline here, to maintain my stance, to continue to get up on the soapbox every day, the internet soapbox, the radio soapbox, and just tell people, look, your medical doctor may be the nicest person God ever created, but your medical doctor doesn't know what's best for you. They only know what they've been trained in. And what they've been trained in, and as it turns out, is just one tiny piece of the pie of medical science. It's just one small piece of the pie of medical science. But the pharmaceutical industry, the insurance companies, the hospital industry, and the American Medical Association here in the United States have convinced you that the MD's piece of the pie is the only piece of the pie to pay attention to. And they have done such a remarkably good, effective socialization brainwash here that even when their therapeutics fail you, even when their therapeutics harm you, even when their therapeutics hurt you, even when their therapeutics bankrupt you or kill you, you continue to go back to them for treatment. Well, not you. Not my listeners, but most people around the world do that simply because they don't know there's another way. And this is our job, this is our responsibility, need I say mission, to just show people that there is another way. It doesn't matter if they do it, but they need to know that it exists, right? They need to know that it exists. And as more people stand up and take responsibility for that, tell the truth without any conflation, without any BS, without anything other than just an authentic expression of their experience, we will change the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. So happy that you tuned in. Are you turning on yet? I am your steadfast advocate for health. Valerie in Minnesota is up next. Stick around. Boom, and that's how we do it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Check out the live stream, the video stream at theDrGlidden show.tv, thedrgliddenshow.tv. And you can see what you've been hearing. Let's go to Minnesota and talk to Valerie. Hey, Valerie, thanks for the call back. You are live.
Hi there, Dr. Glidden.
What's up?
I'm calling. Yesterday I had written in, but we didn't get to finish the conversation because you were so excited about the testimony that you were on, so you forgot where you were. But anyhow, so I had called in back in the middle of August about my daughter who has epilepsy and thyroid problems and diabetes type 1.
Yeah.
And so right away when she had taken what you'd given her to take, so her first week, she did good. Like right away her body responded having better menstrual cycles.
Oh, yeah, great.
But then it's like, and then a couple other good things happened. But then it's like she lost her appetite, and she's lost 10 pounds since she's been on the product.
Yeah, great.
No, that's not great for her. she's really skinny, and she's just, right now I'm trying to get her hydrated again because she has like really lost an appetite and not eating anything.
Well, how's her mood? How's her energy? How does she seem? I mean, there have been good things that have happened to her. I mean, notwithstanding the weight loss. I mean, how does she seem to you? If you didn't know that she had lost any weight, how would she seem to you?
Well, she typically doesn't have much energy anyhow, just because she has so many seizures. I mean, it's like even when she sleeps, she doesn't get solid sleep or anything.
Yeah.
So, and right now she's just really in a down right now because, like I said, she's hardly like responding because I'm hardly getting anything in her.
So I'm just a little confused by what you're describing to me. So is the child bedridden and she's non-responsive? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay, so how long has she been bedridden and kind of non-responsive?
For a good 3 days, where I'm hardly able to get liquid in her.
Okay, and has that ever happened to her before?
It has happened to her before, yes.
And what were the circumstances around that, and how did you remedy that in the past?
Usually it happens just from like so many seizures, like just get her down.
Yeah.
And then in the past, I've had to end up taking her in just to get her hydrated again with IVs.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that I don't have to take that route this time.
Well, so here's the deal, right? I mean, how old is this child?
She's 22.
22. And how long has she been having seizures?
14 years.
Yeah, 14 years. So the naturopaths, the old-time naturopaths would argue that with medical nutrition, it's going to take at least 14 months for her to come back all the way, right? And you know, in the first little while we're kind of on the nutrition trail here, some things are going to improve and some things are not going to improve, and that's kind of just the way that it all plays itself out. So, you know, if this had been happening to her a year from now, I would be very, very surprised. But given the fact that this is another iteration of a pattern that happens to her, you know, and it's probably due to just too much seizure activity, which is just going to, you know, just blow her out and just make her like, you know, a wet fish, wet rag. So there's only two possibilities here. There are only two possibilities. We're coming up against a hard break. You stick with me. Okay. When we come back on the other side of the commercial, I will dial in what I think you should do for the next couple of days. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. I appreciate the call. Stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. You got to visit the website. You know you do. You know you want to. You know you've been trying to. I mean, it's only a mouse click away. drglidden.com, drglidden.com. Go there, become an insider, because you must become an insider. Stick around, more to come.